We just returned from a cruise around the Mediterranean, and for each of the 7 cities we visited, I created a Google Maps list of all of the key places everyone recommends going. So the next few videos will be travel prompt lists, one for each city. Some lists I was able to complete entirely, some of them had a couple missteps, and a few of them had some additions. But if you're new here, my name is Jennifer from Watkins Through Life, and I am on a challenge this year to follow 52 book prompts and countless other life prompts throughout the year. Well, we made it to our very last stop on our trip, which is Barcelona, Spain. When we disembarked in Barcelona, it was only 7 in the morning on a minor holiday akin to like a Pentecost. And because it was so early, that meant we had about 8 hours to fill before we could check into our hotel, because early check-in was not a thing. Luckily, that meant there was time for a calm breakfast, a beautiful visit to a park, just watching a whole bunch of dogs enjoying their life and playing around, and a wonderful walking tour around the city, but that also meant we were plumb tuckered out and ready for a nap as soon as we checked into the hotel. Luckily, we had a couple days in Barcelona, so losing a few hours to a nap did not seem like a bad deal. Forgive me for the tiny text on this one, but we had a whopping 17 places on our Google Maps list of things to check out. Now, we were here for the longest out of any of our stops on this trip, so we were able to get quite a few of them done, but there's definitely some missed places on this list. First of all, Citadel Park was the one that we went to on our first morning, and we honestly sat there for hours. We took some pictures, I did some reading, and there were just so many dogs, guys. So many dogs, and so cute. And there was like these dogs that were like just across the path and on top of a hill, and they were just playing the whole time. And as other dogs would come by and pass, the owners would stop and talk for a while the dogs played, and then they'd move on, and then another dog would come and play with them. And it was just so wholesome. It just made me so happy. And after like 7 days of constant travel, constant go here, be there, do this, do that, it was nice to just be able to sit down in a park on a beautiful morning and just breathe. I had also thought that we might make it down to the beach, but again, we kind of traded nap time for beach time because we'd just been to a beach in Nice. And because I knew we were going to be walked out by this point in our trip, we did find a hotel that was specifically on the Rambla and was actually like maybe a block away from the Boqueria market, which was nice. It was really centrally located and also really close to the Catalunya Plaza, which meant that transit was really close as well. The Catalunya Plaza was actually the meeting point for our free walking tour on that first morning, and so we started there and they walked us down the Rambla, past a few markets, and we actually saw the Cathedral of Barcelona there, which is the oldest cathedral in Barcelona. It's not necessarily the most famous because of Sagrada Familia, but it is beautiful and old, and just a gorgeous combination of like Gothic styles, and some areas of it are not quite as Gothic as time progressed, but anyways, I digress. Our tour guide had some fabulous information as we walked through it. Our second day, we did go up onto Montjuic, which we did learn on our free tour that there was heavy anti-Semitism in Barcelona for a lot of its history. So there was one road that the Jews kind of populated, and then during the Spanish Inquisition, they were given the choice to not be Jews, to not live in the city, or to be brought to the Spanish Inquisitors who would help you choose. And so a lot of them were relocated to this mountain outside of the city, which is now called Montjuic, or I think it's like Jewish Mount or something like that. Obviously their history there has been eradicated as well, because now there's a castle at the very top, which is a defense fortress used in a lot of conflicts. And then we were able to walk down to the botanical gardens, which were honestly a miss for me. They tried to have different garden areas for different areas of the world, and I really wish they had just focused on their specific biome and done credit to that, because everything else just kind of felt like walking through a poorly maintained park and not a lot special about it. From there, we walked past the Olympic Stadium down to the National Palace, which was great for some photo ops, and honestly giant. So if you're spending a day there to go through the museum, good luck, and bring some good walking shoes. From there, we were able to grab the metro back to La Rambla. And I totally forgot to mention that on the way there, we were able to take metro straight from the Catalunya Plaza, and the metro went to Montjuic, and then there was signs to take another metro to the cable cars, and then we were able to take the cable cars up the mountain to the castle, which was really nice because in my research I thought we were going to take the metro to the base of Montjuic and then have to walk from that train station to the cable cars, which is still uphill. So I was worried about that. But there was this beautiful, just like metro line from the metro station to the cable cars. It worked out lovely. Just follow the signs, they're everywhere. Again, we didn't get to museums on this trip, so the Museum of Contemporary Art was passed. We also didn't see the Villa de Gracia, but on our free walking tour, we did see the Basilica of Santa Maria del Mar. And this was one of our favorite places to visit just because the history we learned behind it. I guess during World War II, during some of the bombing that happened in the city, a bomb landed and the shrapnel and the explosion ended up killing, I think, about 40 kids. And they don't have a statue or monument erected in memory of this. Instead, they've just dedicated this whole plaza to the kids. So the facade of the basilica has not been repaired. All of the dents and holes and cracks, those are all damage from the bomb left in memory. And then to the right, there's a school that was existing. That's why the children were there during the bombing. And that school is still functioning. So this plaza courtyard is usually blocked off during school hours. It's just the kids' playground. That's where they go to play during recess. We were able to walk through it and take pictures just because the school was closed for this minor holiday. And I mean, look at these doors. The color is perfect. I may possibly be planning on using it somewhere in the house. Another site that I heard all about from everyone when I was talking about going to Barcelona was Mount Tibidabo. And I hear that it's gorgeous. There's so many things to see. There's like cathedrals and castles on the top or whatever. And so definitely make it there if you can and if you have time. We just didn't have time. We did make sure to make time for Sagrada Familia though. We're not huge see cathedrals kind of people, but this had been hyped up so much for us that we had to go. And we ended up booking the audio tour when we were there, which was perfect. This is a functioning church, so as the tour guide goes in, they cannot talk very loudly, which means they have a microphone that they wear, and you receive a headset and controller where you can adjust the volume. And so as they're walking around, they're able to whisper and talk very quietly about details on the architecture and the history of Gaudi himself as he went through this, the different reasons behind some of the details, like the coloring of the glass windows, and the different facades and the differences in design between the different facades. So it was really great to get all that information, and I highly recommend doing the guided tour. This was honestly probably our favorite stop in the city just because of how massive and drop-dead gorgeous and completely photo-inspiring it was. My husband was like running around the whole time like, I gotta get this, I gotta get a picture of that, gotta get a picture of that, and pulling out all his different cameras and films, and it was just a great place to be a photographer, let me tell ya. And the stained glass windows are just unreal. Most cathedrals in their stained glass windows have more of the Gothic feel, where it's, a standard set of colors, standard set of shapes and depictions of people and stories that you see repeated in lots of cathedrals. This is different. This is modern geometric stained glass. On one side, it comes up in cool colors and the other side comes down in warm colors. So as the sun passes over throughout the day, you get this different influx of light and shades, and engraved on all of these windows were different places and people and names, and every corner has like a year's worth of detail worked into it. And the choir lofts that were up there, as a choir person, could only imagine being able to sing up there, to hear the reverberation and acoustics and just the music you could make. If you really want to know, the song that I really wish I could perform right then, right there, with a beautiful choir and an incredible director would be O Magnum Mysterium by Morten Lortzen. It is complete zen, and if you ever just need to feel transported to the beauty of heaven, just put in headphones, turn it up, and listen to 7 minutes of pure joy. Anyways, that song in that cathedral is like the performance of my dreams. After Sagrada Familia, we got a meal. We were able to take some public transit and walk around to our hotel. Honestly, we probably could have made time for the Park Güell or the Casa Balto, but we had already seen a lot of Gaudi-inspired architecture. And so at that point, we were really tired. My feet really, really hurt and were calloused all around, starting to blister. And so we prioritized rest and sleep, and I'm okay with that. There are 2 places that I would love to recommend to you. One of them is the Fargi Cafe. This is where we ended up eating our first morning when everything was closed down. It was a very quiet morning, and so we were able to have this relaxed, restful meal with the most delicious hummus I've ever had, a perfect breakfast bagel, in just a lovely contemporary setting. They also had free Wi-Fi as well as plugs, so it was a great place to just charge and load maps for a moment. The second place I actually don't know the name of, but I can ping the location right here and show you a video of what this is. Because this is a series of shops and buildings put together like a mall, but it's covered like the Boqueria Market. And as you walk through, every single store is about games and anime and fandoms and Harry Potter and all of these things. All of my world. So we saw a board game and card game store. We saw a Harry Potter store that was honestly, I think, better than the one at platform 9 3/4 in King's Cross Station. And then there was also this other store that just had souvenirs for every fandom, from Friends to Naruto to Disney to anime. Like, it just had everything. Except for Dungeons and Dragons. I was a little disappointed in that. But again, it was a holiday, things were closed, so maybe that store was just not open at the time. But if you are a fandom or geek like me, you would highly enjoy this place. Overall, we loved Barcelona and enjoyed everything we were able to tour and visit. One thing we very quickly realized, though, is that Barcelona is very much a nightlife city. La Rambla is a very famous pedestrian street, and as we were retiring to our hotel at around 9 o'clock every night, it was just coming to life. Thank goodness our hotel room had 2 entire windows set up to block the noise. Like, you could open the first one, but then there was like an entire another double pane glass of window behind it, which was great because we like to go to bed slightly early. And by we, I mean me. My husband would stay up and edit photos and whatnot. But I would sleep in a beautiful, calm environment, uninterrupted by the noise on La Rambla, which was great. This whole nightlife environment does also mean that the city is very calm in the mornings and that a lot of the touristy places don't open up until a little bit later. So we'd end up at a park dog watching or having lazy mornings in bed, which isn't bad, it's just something to plan for in your trip. Regardless of if you're a night owl or a morning person like me, you will still love the city and find so much to enjoy. It's just something you have to plan for and make some adjustments to make the city work best for you. So if you've watched this whole series of 7 cities and their travel prompt lists, please let me know which one is your favorite below, which one are you dying to visit, and what should be on our list for our next trip. I hope to see you in my next video where I will be returning to my love of books, so please join me for the fun and I will see you then.